Imagine a young sea lion. A plastic packing strap is wrapped tightly around his neck. With every passing month, it becomes more dangerous. The sea lion keeps growing. The strap does not. Without human help, he would probably not survive. And then, one day, people arrive. To us, the situation seems obvious. The humans are there to help. But for the sea lion, everything may look very different. Wild animals are not born knowing that humans can be rescuers. For millions of years, a large creature approaching them usually meant danger, not help. That is why most wild animals react to humans in the same way. They run, they hide, they resist, they try to keep their distance. And yet, every now and then, something strange happens. An animal that should fear humans the most allows them to come closer, sometimes close enough to free it from a trap. Why? What exactly happens in that moment? Does the animal understand that a human is trying to help, or does it only appear that way to us? For years, this question has fascinated animal behavior researchers because the answer turns out to be far more complicated than it first appears. Several years ago, rescuers off the coast of California spotted a young sea lion. A plastic packing strap was wrapped around his neck. At first, it looked almost harmless. But objects like this create a serious problem. As the animal grows, the strap does not grow with it. Over time, the loop begins to cut deeper and deeper into the skin. Without human intervention, the consequences can be fatal. When rescuers first approached, everything happened exactly as you might expect. The sea lion became nervous. He dove underwater. He tried to keep his distance. Every approach from a human was treated as a potential threat, and that is not surprising. From the sea lion's perspective, the humans did not look like rescuers. They looked like the unknown, and in the wild, the unknown is rarely safe. But then, something interesting happened. After some time, the sea lion stopped constantly moving away from the rescuers. Not completely, not like a domesticated animal would, but enough. Enough for the rescuers to get close. Enough for them to remove the plastic loop. Within minutes, it was over. The sea lion was free again. And this is where the most interesting part of the story begins. What changed inside the animal's mind? Was it simply exhaustion? Was it coincidence? Or did the sea lion somehow recognize that the humans were not behaving like predators? Science cannot answer that question with certainty, but research suggests that many animals pay close attention to human behavior and may be far better at distinguishing dangerous actions from harmless ones than we once believed. And the next story makes this question even more intriguing. Several years ago, rescuers discovered a wolf caught in a trap. The animal was exhausted, frightened, and completely distrustful of humans. When people approached, the wolf reacted exactly as expected. It growled, tried to break free, watched every movement the rescuers made. For a wild animal, this was a normal response. The humans did not look like helpers. They looked like another threat. Eventually, the trap was removed. The wolf was free again. Now it could do what wild animals usually do: turn around and disappear. But something unusual happened. Instead of running away immediately, the wolf stopped. It watched the people for several seconds, then a little longer. Only after that did it leave. At first glance, this may seem like a minor detail, But details like these are exactly what attract the attention of researchers. If an animal sees humans only as a threat, why remain nearby longer than necessary? Why not leave immediately after being freed? Was it simple confusion, the result of stress? Or was the wolf trying to evaluate the situation completely before leaving? Science cannot answer that question with certainty. But animal behavior researchers point to one important fact. Wolves constantly analyze the behavior of those around them. They read signals within the pack. They watch movement, body posture, the direction of another animal's gaze. And some scientists suggest that part of these abilities may also be used when interacting with humans. This does not prove that the wolf understood the rescuer's intentions, but it does suggest that the animal may have been noticing far more details than we often assume. And yet the next story raises an even more difficult question. Because in this case, the animal did not simply stay nearby. It took a step toward a human. But it was the story of an elephant that made many researchers think even harder about this question. In one rescue case, a young elephant became trapped. The animal could not free itself. And just as in the previous stories, humans arrived to help. At first, the situation seemed familiar. A frightened animal, stress, attempts to escape, distrust. But after the rescue, something unusual happened. Once the elephant was free, it did not leave immediately. Instead, it approached one of the rescuers, slowly, calmly, without signs of panic. Then it extended its trunk and touched the human. To us, a gesture like this may seem obvious, almost like gratitude, but this is where the story becomes far more complicated, because science requires caution. We cannot ask the elephant what it felt in that moment. We cannot know what it was thinking, and yet researchers point to one important detail. Elephants rarely use their trunks randomly. When an elephant deliberately touches an object, it is often a form of investigation, a way of gathering information, a way of understanding what it is interacting with. Some observations suggest that after being rescued, elephants sometimes maintain this contact for several seconds, as if carefully examining the human before moving away. By itself, this proves nothing, but moments like these are exactly why scientists continue asking the same question. What does the animal actually understand about what is happening around it? And does it understand anything at all? Because elephants possess abilities that have fascinated researchers for decades. They recognize themselves in mirrors, remember other elephants for many years, distinguish numerous members of their social groups, and maintain complex social relationships across decades. In other words, the ability to recognize differences between individuals is certainly not something elephants lack. But does that mean an elephant can distinguish between a human who causes harm and a human who provides help? Science still does not have a definitive answer. And that brings us to the most interesting part of the story. After decades of observation, researchers have reached an unexpected conclusion. The answer to our question is neither a simple yes nor a simple no. Animals cannot tell us what they are thinking. We cannot directly observe their thoughts. That is why this remains one of the most difficult topics in animal behavior research. But some facts are reasonably well established. Many animals pay close attention to human behavior. They notice movement speed, body posture, eye direction, tone of voice, even small changes in behavior. Dogs do this constantly. Horses do as well. But similar abilities have also been observed in many wild animals. The more researchers study these cases, the clearer one thing becomes. Animals do not respond only to the presence of humans. They respond to how humans behave. Calm actions often produce one response. Sudden actions produce another. This does not necessarily mean that animals understand human intentions in the same way people do, but it does suggest that they can distinguish different kinds of behavior. That is why some researchers believe the question itself may be slightly misleading. Perhaps animals do not need to understand human help in the same way that humans understand it. Perhaps recognizing patterns is enough. This human is not causing harm. This human is behaving calmly. This human is helping me become free. From a survival perspective, that may be sufficient. But even this remains a hypothesis, because there is still a boundary science cannot cross. We can observe behavior. We can measure physical responses. We can record changes in the brain. But we cannot directly know what an animal experiences in a specific moment. And that brings us back to the question that started this investigation. Do animals know when humans are trying to help them? The honest answer is that we still do not know for certain. But the stories of the sea lion, the wolf, and the elephant reveal something fascinating. Sometimes animals behave as if they notice far more than we once believed. They observe, they evaluate, they remember, and occasionally they respond to humans in ways we would not expect. Perhaps one day science will answer this question more precisely. Research methods are improving. More data is becoming available. And every new case helps us better understand the behavior of animals. But for now, the question remains open. And perhaps that is exactly why it continues to fascinate researchers. Because somewhere between fear and trust lies a moment we still do not fully understand. The moment when a wild animal decides not to run away. And what truly happens in that moment remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in the animal world.